From the Startup Experts community, this is the Becoming Better podcast, and I'm its host, Jesse Fries. Alan, it's so great to see you here on the Becoming Better podcast. Really excited to have you here. We've known each other for a number of years, but the reason for having you join us this morning is that you were celebrated earlier this year as one of our 25 leaders to follow in 2025. So excited to spend some time. Would you mind introducing yourself and tell the crew who you are?
Yeah, thanks so much, Jesse. It's great to be here as well, and it's been an honor to be recognized, and it's been great to be a member of Startup Experts almost since day one. I'm Alan Federman. I'm currently the controller of a company called Inspiron. We make hardware and software that's used in the senior living space. It's kept in used in senior living facilities. Prior to that, I was the VP of Finance at a company called Canvas Construction in the robotic space, but I've really been in startups since around 2007, 2008. And then prior to that, some big companies, and then earlier in public accounting.
Yeah, that's right. I think I first met you when you were just leaving Patreon, correct? And you were
That's
coming
right.
from New York to the Bay Area. Would you share a little bit about, your life's journey? How did you get into finance? How did you, navigate some of those hurdles? Because at this point, you've been in some interesting companies.
Yeah, I wish it was a well thought out plan that I could walk you through, but it's 100% random. So I'm originally from Massachusetts, grew up outside of Boston. I went to school in Boston. And I was an English major, and I wanted to be a journalist. I was going to be the next Carl Woodward, and great stories. And so when I graduated college, I went for an interview at a newspaper in Boston, no longer there, called the Boston Phoenix. It was sort of the alternative paper at the time. And during the conversation, the HR person said to me, "Do you have any accounting experience?" And because I just graduated college, I knew everything. I said, "Well, yeah, my brother's a CPA." And she said, "That's great. You're our staff accountant." And so,
Well,
yeah, that's
they
how
were
it all
really
happened.
scraping the bottom of the barrel there.
They really were. I can't believe it. But I was a bookkeeping role, but I found I really loved it. I was working at a newspaper, yet I was getting to interact with all aspects of it, from subscription to delivery to editorial. I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. And my brother actually is a CPA. And so I went back to school and got a master's, and then started my real accounting career at Arthur Andersen, then one of the big eight accounting firms in Boston, and then moved to New York and worked for a number of big companies, mostly Viacom for a good chunk of my time there in internal audit. And, I loved it. I learned so much. I got to travel the world and do a lot of different things. But ultimately, when you're one of 150 million people at a company, or I should say 150,000, it you lose connection. So I worked for my first startup in 2007 called The Ladders, a job search website, which I think is still going. And I just love the energy and just the passion and the commitment of people at a startup. And so the journey took me from there. And then in around 2016, we moved to San Francisco, the Bay Area. My wife got an opportunity to work in the wine industry, which is something she always wanted to do. And the startup I was working at in New York ran out of money, so I figured, what the heck, let's just do this. And so we've been out here now for about 9 years, and it's been great. It's been fantastic.
Wow, that's amazing. It's really been 9 years. Time flies.
Yeah.
So would you share with our team, this podcast is all about becoming better and improving ourselves and learning from each other's journeys. What is one thing that has helped you navigate your career, that has made you a better person, better human, better teammate?
To me, the most important thing is curiosity. It's what I had back as an English major. It's just this desire to know things. And I think what makes not just finance people, but people in general better is just asking questions and wanting to learn and being curious. Because when you're curious, you have no preconceptions. You just want to know. You're a blank slate. Why do you do that? How do you do that? And I think that's what's helped me a lot. And that's what has really made working at startups so impactful for me, because they really welcome that curiosity. I love going to a robotics engineer and say, how does that work? I don't understand it, but it's great to ask the question anyway and maybe get a little bit more knowledge than I did before. Or now working at the company I'm at, I knew very little about senior living spaces and how individuals navigate that part of their lives. And now I can just talk to clinicians in that space and just really learn. And life is all about learning in that journey. And so that's I think the most important thing. Advice I always give everybody is just ask questions.
Yeah, now that you say that, I can reflect back on a lot of our conversations and certainly the different companies you've worked for. It's been a very broad and different type of groups that you have leaned into. That's amazing. Um, in terms of your new role or where we are in the world today, what is one thing that that really excites you? Is there a new initiative or a problem that you're solving at your new company that others should hear about?
I think what excites me about this company is that the company was founded by an individual who was a nurse. He worked in an ER, and prior to that, actually, was a Green Beret. He's a fascinating guy. And what I have learned from him is just this passion for helping people, and that's something I hadn't experienced in this level of depth at any other company. Is the impact that we have on the lives of the people who are using our product in these facilities, as well as the loved ones of those people. Because I've never really thought about that stage of life as people enter it, and it's such a rapidly growing demographic as our country ages. And just working with people, a lot of my coworkers are former clinicians and nurses, and just learning that empathy from them, and seeing it, how it translates not just into the work that they do with their customers, but just throughout the whole company. It's just been just really eye opening to me, and just really satisfying to work in that environment.
That's remarkable, and I'm glad you found that role.
Mm.
Helping others is certainly something that, as a go giver and as part of our community's culture, is so important. Is really looking beyond ourselves. Thank you for sharing. Is there a moment in your life where you would like to take the proverbial mulligan? You made a mistake and you look back on it and you said, "Wow, I just didn't read the room," or I didn't approach it the right way, and I would have done this differently. And here's an opportunity to actually perhaps help a colleague, help a peer in the community, not make that same mistake. Would you share one of those?
Just one?
Uh,
Um,
we'll start with one.
there's a list, but let me try to narrow it down with to one. I think, um, a at times when I've gone to work for companies, I haven't given enough thought to, um, what the company's mission is and how I fit into that. And so I think, and I've learned that lesson. I won't say specific companies. That's not fair, but there have been times where I would have said, you know what, if I really thought about that, I probably wouldn't have made that decision. So some of my decisions, I would say, have been more reactive than proactive. And I would say my piece of advice is take that step back, take a deep breath. Um, the journey's long, and if you need to take a break at a certain point to really give it that level of thought, I would advise that if one can do that, to take that extra pause and that extra deep breath, and really think about, how does this fit into what I want to do professionally, but how does it fit into how I want to live my life personally? Because the two can come together, um, with enough thought, enough preparation, enough understanding of oneself to be able to do that. And so I think those are some of the mistakes. If I did have that mulligan, I would say, you know what, that probably wasn't the right thing. And I probably knew it at the time too. My other piece of advice, trust your gut. It's always right.
Yeah, no, that's great insight. You've been very involved in startup experts, to your point, almost since day one, if not day one.
Mhm.
You've certainly, because you are representing the finance side, we've always leaned in and asked for your support when it comes from being a financial leader, evangelist, so promoting content, telling us what we should be doing as a group. I often think about some pictures that we share occasionally on our website with you sitting on a panel back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
What has startup experts meant to you over the last, let's say, 8, 9 years?
It's been a couple things. One, because it is a bit of a, not a bit, it's a hybrid. We have people from people ops and pure operations and finance. It's really helped me understand that connection between those different groups. That, as a finance person, or perhaps in any company, it's easy to get caught up in the day to day and that silo of what you're doing. And startup experts has really helped me take a step back. And as I've been able to network with people in the HR people ops function and other functions. I'm like, okay, that's how what I do impacts you, and help them understand that's how what you do impacts me. And the other thing it's been great. It's just been a great support system. As I have had some career challenges of my own and worked for some companies that were going through some struggles, to know that I'm not the only one going through this, and just to just have that sort of validation that I think it's important. It's not about, hey, can you solve this problem? It's, hey, what are you doing to navigate the same waters I'm trying to navigate? And sometimes it's just venting. Sometimes it's just grab a coffee and just talk about anything but work. And just having that outlet where you know that underneath it all, we're going through the same thing. And it says we don't need to talk about it because we know it, but we can also sort of find that release and that escape valve to help us sort of cope with some of the stresses that are going on. And look, we live in an uncertain world always. And so to have that, hey, we're all going through this together. Let's try to solve problems together.
Yeah, no, that's great. Amazing insights. I know that you have likely given more than you've received. You're talking about all those things that you have learned and the people around you, but I want to appreciate you. And I think that's one of the reasons why you were celebrated by the group that chose you as one of our 25 leaders to follow in 25, because you have been so generous with your time and your effort. And we wouldn't be where we are as a community without those contributions. So I want to personally thank you for that. Before we end this conversation, as the sage in the room here, you've given us a number of pieces of wisdom, hindsight moments, things that you're excited about, even and some advice. But I'll ask you again: is there, one piece of advice that you would share with the group based on, your lengthy career?
Well, first of all, before I answer that question, I owe you a debt of gratitude as well. I remember when it was just you and me and a couple other people sitting around a table thinking this would be kind of cool. And how many thousands of people around the world are now members of this group in such a short period of time? It's amazing, and it's a labor of love, and I know that, and I am truly grateful, and I know I speak for everyone that I've met at Startup Expert. So thank you, Jesse, for all that hard work, and I know it's a ton of work. But to answer in Sage, is that code for old? I don't really know, but I'll just
Read into it.
we'll leave that.
I feel like I could describe myself that way these days too. So
Okay.
I'm just trying to be kind.
No, I appreciate that. I just wonder what at what point in life you crossed that line with the Sage, but that's a different podcast. My piece of advice, as trite as it may sound, but it's held me in good stead: be kind. The world throws a lot of curveballs at everybody. We don't know where they're coming from. We don't know what people are going through. Default to kindness, and you will never, ever, ever go wrong.
I love it. I think that's why you and I are friends. I think those are,
Mhm.
if I recall back to a conversation I had with my older daughter recently,
Okay.
two of the four values I talked to her about was curiosity and kindness. So great
Really
wrap up.
excellent,
Well,
excellent,
thank you, Alan, for
excellent.
your time. Thank you again, and congratulations for being chosen as one of our leaders to follow in 2025. I look forward to spending more time with you and look forward to 2026 with you.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Jesse. I really appreciate it. Take good care.
Thanks, Alan. Thank you for listening to this Becoming Better with Startup Experts discussion. If you're interested in learning more about our community and perhaps joining, please visit www.startupexperts.us.